I just want to give you guys kind of the idea behind this capstone, like why we have it in the first place, what the expectations are, and I think that'll help you guys even narrow down the list of what projects you might want to do. You know, just from a grand kind of overview, the reason we have this, it's a culminating experience. So everything that you've been learning in all your courses through this program is about, it's done, it's over. So the knowledge that you should have gained comes down to the, if you look in your binders, on the second page, you have the program objectives, and you have 8 of them listed there. And have you guys read those? I know we looked at them early on, okay? But those are the objectives that we are hoping that at this point that you guys have acquired. And if not, the capstone is where you finish up with it, okay? One of them, like number 5, for example, is leading a health informatics project. Right, so maybe you haven't done that yet, but you're going to do that now with your capstone project. So what we like is that when you're picking your capstone projects, you look at these objectives, and in your proposal, you're going to tell us a minimum of 3, and preferably more, but a minimum of 3 of these objectives are going to be met and demonstrated by you guys completing your capstone projects. Okay, so that has to be in your proposal. Okay, so make sure you write that down, or that you get that in your proposals when you submit them. If you don't have the 3 of them listed, and we're going to look, and what the committee will do is say, okay, yeah, those 3 are in there. Okay. Okay, so that's what we want. We want you guys to have those 8 objectives, and that comes from the different accrediting bodies and different things that we've talked to, you know, about what an informatics, a person with a master's in informatics should have, what they should look like. Okay, so that fulfills the requirements for SIUe, right? That's one of the reasons you're doing this, because you want your degree, right? That's the motivation behind it. Another motivation is we would really like for you guys to, you know, maybe you're in the job you want to be in, and that's great, okay? And you don't want to move, you know, somewhere else in BJC. But maybe you do. Maybe you want to get a job with this Epic team. So that's why Pat's here. She's telling you guys about these different projects that are available. So if you want to move out of maybe the department you're in now and you want to get a job somewhere else, this is a great opportunity to get your foot in the door, right? So you're thinking about, okay, this is something that's really of interest to me. So maybe I'm going to pursue a project maybe in this department. You contact those people, and you know you take, you know, say, hey, look, you market yourself, right? I've got leadership abilities here. I can take a part in this project. Just, you know, try to make it fit into your timeline so that you're done with it by the time you graduate, right? Because you don't want to get into a project that's 2 years long, okay? And then you don't have to do the entire project. A lot of students are like, well, I can't do that one because they're already started. That's fine. It's okay if it's already started. Well, I can't do it because it's not going to finish in time. That's okay. It doesn't have to finish. You just need to very clearly tell us in your proposal what part of that project you're going to be doing. Okay, whether it's going to finish or whether it started is not, that's irrelevant. Okay, but you need to do something. I mean, you can't just collect data, right, for somebody else to do something with. I mean, you need to take more of a leadership role in this project. Okay, and that's the other purpose. Okay, so in addition to meeting the requirements of graduation for SIUe, we want you guys to get the job that you're looking for. Okay, and so this is part of the way to jumpstart into that. The third thing is, you know, of interest. I mean, something that you guys want to do, something that's of interest to you, and that you're going to be able to, because you're going to spend some time working on this. So pick something that's near and dear to your heart, or something that you have an interest in as well. Okay, so those are the 3 main, kind of the overarching purposes of this capstone project. There's 3 main parts to it. I've mentioned the proposal. And Mary, you have a timeline here, don't you, about when it's due? Somewhere in there?
Yeah, it's on the last page of this capstone project document. Just a short little.
March 15th?
Mm-hmm.
So March 15th is when you have to submit your proposals to you.
Mm-hmm.
So you send them, email them to Mary Ellen. The steering committee will then review your proposals, and this is what happens most of the time. Out of, how many do we have in this cohort? About 10, 11? Okay, about 10, about 3 of yous will get it approved on the first go-around. That's it. The rest of you will have.
3 of us did.
Did you? Yeah. about
We have the shining stars.
Yeah, there you go. So we got about 3 out of 10 usually get approved on the first go round. And so the main reason is you haven't clearly identified what it is, what your part is, because we don't know what you're doing. And I mean, you got this great project. It's wonderful. It looks awesome, but I have no idea what are you going to do. And so that's what we have as a steering committee has to know what your role is in that project. So in your proposal, you need to have something called my role, and you need to very clearly talk about what that is going to be. The other thing that they don't do is they don't include a timeline, because we're not going to approve it if we don't know you can finish it in time. So we need to, and here's what happens too sometimes, right? You need to kind of think about a backup plan, because sometimes students get involved in a project and the timelines are kind of gray, right? Because you're not really sure, they're thinking this is it, but what happens is that something else comes along and that gets pushed back. It happens all the time. And so have kind of a backup plan, or talk to them and say, how solidified are these timelines for this project? Could it get pushed back? Because that might influence your decision on which one you want to take on as your capstone project. So your proposal's the first part. The capstone project is actually completing the project, okay? And then your presentation. Now, you need to write a paper, okay? So the capstone project is going to be kind of a paper, and the presentation is probably the easiest part. So after your paper's done, then you've got to present on what day?
This group's presenting in March. They'll probably present in March as well, of
Okay.
next year.
Okay. So, and that'll be the final part that you do it. And we usually do it here, right? Schedule a room in here
Mhm.
is where we do
Yep.
it, so. And those are it. I mean, you can read through these things, and the different project types. They kind of, talk about different, the project types. There's direct the development efforts of a team of health informatics professionals, and you pretty much find every project that Pat has listed on this page will fit into one of these types. Okay, you can make it fit in some way, and probably more than one. Okay, as far as a committee, you'll need to have a chair, and you need to have a committee member on your, is it one committee member? One. And then a stakeholder.
A chair, another faculty,
And
and
a
someone from BJC.
BJC, to be your stakeholder from BJC. It could be a manager, somebody in the department that you're gonna be doing the project in, or something like that. And they don't have to do a lot. So, you don't have to scare them away and be like, oh, you're gonna be grading papers. No, they don't have to do that. But they need to kind of oversee and make sure that, because, like, let's say I'm a chair of your committee. I don't work at VJC, so I don't know what's going on. I don't know if what you're telling me is really feasible, and if it can really happen. But this person can. They can tell you, yeah, this is gonna work. So then your chair is who you're gonna be talking with most of the time. And then you talk about your project, you talk about you're gonna give them an outline, talk about, this is my plan, this is my timeline, and this is after your proposal is approved. Then you request, like, who you would want to be your chair. And we try to honor that, but sometimes it doesn't work out, because, there were some years, like, if I get, 10 requests to be chair, I can't chair 10 projects. So we have to kind of, have a second, like, who would be an alternate person? And, what you think about is what kind of project it is, right? If you're in project management, Mary Sumner might be a good person for you guys to ask to be a chair, okay? And then we'll make the assignments, the steering committee does. We actually have a smaller group, a subcommittee, over the summer that meets. And we go through the proposal once it's approved, and then we make the committee assignments. Okay. In the rare instance, and this has happened in the past, so we came up with an alternative. And in your brochure, you'll see this page here. It's a single page, and we call it the Capstone Option Quality Improvement Investigation Project, or the QIP. Everybody see that? Okay. This was developed because I'd say maybe one student a year, or maybe two, they would not have a project that was either of interest to them, or that they felt like they could do, or that they could be a part of, or it wasn't gonna be feasible based on the department that they worked in. And so this is another option that we came up with, all right? And so I'll read it. The SIUe Master of Science in Healthcare Informatics program requires a capstone project. For the capstone project, students are encouraged to find and materially participate in an actual project within the work environment that addresses the 3 program objectives. However, when it is not possible, students will be permitted to conduct a written project. This written project will identify a problem within a healthcare setting, preferably a specific setting such as the student's place of employment, and identify one or more potential informatics-based solutions to the problem identified. The written project is also required to address at least 3 of the program objectives. And then to begin pursuing a written project option, students must produce the capstone project proposal that addresses the following. And I'm not going to read through it, but it talks about everything that you need to include in that proposal. So this would be something that would not be on this list, right? This is something that, you would talk to your people in a certain department and say, hey, what is a problem we're having here? And then you're going to be doing some research and finding out what would be the best informatics-based solution to that problem. Okay, so it's more of a hypothetical project as opposed to a real one. Okay. And that's really about it, guys. That's the major parts of the capstone. I think a lot of you guys were kind of like, oh, what's the capstone? But that's it. Keep those things in mind. Number 1, we want you guys to meet the program objectives. We want you guys to have some investment in this so it's of interest to you, and hopefully lead to maybe where you want to be. So those are the 3 main parts of this capstone project that you need to keep in mind as you're making your decisions. Do you have questions for me?